The object of TaxiChronicles is to allow real riders with real stories share their experience and enhance your life. So sit back and enjoy the journey. So moving over to Nick. Nick, very intrigued to hear about your diving. I'm a PADI qualified. You're probably there's a BESSAM.
No, I'm PADI. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Are you
what
PADI?
qualification do you have then?
Open water.
Oh right,
Yeah, so that's as far as. But I don't throw me in the water with a tank.
No.
I haven't done it in years.
Well, I'm what they call an MSDT, Master Scuba Diver Trainer.
Okay.
Which means when you go and learn your PADI courses, I'm the guy who can teach you your courses. But also, I've moved on a little bit so I can teach instructors some of their extra things, extra skills. I mean, I don't do it so much now, but I'd always been a lover of scuba diving when I'd gone away on holiday, and one day I just decided to go and join a club. So I went and joined a club in London, and realised I needed to brush my skills on a little bit. And they said to me, well look, if you're an instructor you could come off on these trips with us, and could you have a couple of trips where we teach people? And I thought, great, I'll get some free trips. So I went off and did the PADI instructors course over in Sharm el Sheikh with Ocean College, and while I was there they offered me a job and said, look, we'd like you to stay here and be an instructor. But unfortunately I had some photography commitments, some big gigs back in the UK, so I came back, did those, and went back and finished those, and then spent 2 years there as an instructor and as a dive guide, guiding people around the reef and those sort of things. So it's absolutely fabulous.
So what was that like, guiding people along the reef and life in Sharm el Sheikh?
Well, Sharm el Sheikh was a really cool, liberal place. I have to say that my experience of Egypt as a whole was great. The Egyptian people, absolutely lovely, really nice people. Made some really, really good friends there. And it was a little sort of Western enclave, I suppose, that was just a really cool, laid-back, almost hippie-ish kind of community, because a lot of dive people were kind of really sort of hippies of the water, like you hear about.
I like that, hippies of the water.
Because you get.
It's Red Sea, isn't it?
It's the Red Sea, yeah. It's right at the bottom of the Sinai Peninsula.
Where the Suez Canal meets the Red Sea.
Well, yeah, the Suez Canal rolls into the Red Sea, and also you've got the Gulf of Aqaba coming down from Jordan, all that side. So you've got all that. They meet at the same place there, and you've got the Red Sea coming up, the Suez Canal, and the top of the Red Sea coming down. So it's great,
So I sailed past it many a time, and it looks beautiful. It's all those like white level boats.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're the dive boats.
The dive boats. Yeah.
Dive boats you've got on those. And as an ex-marine, there's a couple of great World War II shipwrecks there.
Okay.
And there's one called the Thistlecombe, which is in the top 10 dive sites of the world, because it was a supply carrier that got sunk. I think it was 44, I think it was 43, and it is still loaded with BSA motorcycles, jeeps, boxes of Lee Enfield rifles. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, that sounds it. And they haven't even rotted. They must have.
Oh yeah, it's rotted. It is
the boxing
deteriorating.
yeah.
And I'm going back to Sharm el Sheikh. Well, Sharm el Sheikh in September with a couple of friends, and we were talking about going to see do this dive site again. It's a special dive site, and your skills need to be sharp, because it can be very, very strong currents and it's in the middle of nowhere. It's like a 4 or 5 hour journey to get there. So, but it's really, really worth it. It's beautiful,
Okay, I'll put that on my bucket list then.
Do it, yeah. But you need to do another qualification, because there's an open water dive. You can only go to 18 metres.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to go to 30 metres.
Yeah.
Which is the advanced dive level.
Okay, no, I definitely do that.
But it's funny that you talk about the guys you're going to go diving with, because one thing that I love about travel is the sense of community, and you've got an amazing community of dive friends that
Absolutely.
you've just kept for decades.
Yeah, kept these guys for decades, and I've been all around the world diving and absolutely loved it. I went to South Africa to do a thing called the sardine run, which is where they get all these sardines running on the coast from the south, from the Antarctic, and they have these big spotter planes and these shoals and shoals billions and billions of fish, and you get the birds dive and the dolphins and the sharks get them. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, you get all these boats looking to fish them. It's a great experience. Yeah.
I've seen that one night when we was off the coast of Durban.
Yeah, that's right. In Durban, that's right. It was,
And all these fishes were just diving in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're making sound effects.
That's
all these birds go, and then like I think sharks were doing their thing at the bottom or whatever, you know, pushing them up. Like it's like I was just looking at it thinking, this is a real David Attenborough. I'm seeing it live now. You know,
we did it off Durban, and it was we were snorkelling, about 5 of us, and right in the middle of all the fish, you can hear the dolphins and see the dolphins flashing by. It's all herding them. You got the cormorants and the ganners diving in, and then I feel all this big bumping on my feet. I thought, what is that? And I looked down and there was a shark.
really?
Bumping our feet. It was, I think, called a copperhead shark. And it, whoa! So when we got out of the water, the local dive guide said, "You guys are crazy getting in. I would never do that. It's far too dangerous." And we're going, really? The one way to do it?
Have you ever had a moment where you thought you nearly died? You could
Yes.
nearly die?
Funny enough, on that same trip, that very same trip, we were going off Durban to a place called Alival Shoals. They're about 7 kilometres off the coast. Very strong currents. Not too deep, about 28, 30 metres. There was lots of sharks there, and they'd spent all this time telling us how dangerous, saying that you mustn't get separated from the group because you go up in a little rib, not a big boat. You mustn't get separated from the group because if you do, you know, last year there'd been a couple of guys washed away and never heard of again. The film Open Water had been out about the year before with people getting lost, and I'd gone and made an elementary mistake of carrying way too much weight, and when I went in, I just plummeted to the bottom, and I'm not a guy who panics, but for some reason I panicked. And you know, the first thing you do if you're having trouble like that is you just release your weight belt and go back to the service. Well, for whatever reason, I didn't do that, and I fought and clawed my way back into the service. And I just couldn't keep it at the surface. And when I came to the surface, it was quite a big swell, a good 3 or 4 metre swell, and I couldn't see the boat. And I just assumed I'd been lost at sea and I honestly thought I was dead. And I sunk again, and I came back up again, and I still didn't see the boat. And to be honest, I thought I was going to die lost at sea. The thought of actually releasing my weight belt never occurred to me, which is stupid. Then the next time I went down and came back up, the boat was, 4 or 5 metres away, and the guy was, "What are you doing?" "Oh, please help me."
He said, "We've been watching you all the time. What are you doing?" I love the way your missus looked at you, just like, "Oh, I can't imagine life without you."
yeah, true.
I just hate the thought of him being that scared as well.
That's true love there. After 10 years, she's still looking at you like she's 16.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. So, what would be your advice to someone who wants to get into diving?
Well, the thing is, you've got to go and do it. You can't say to yourself, "Oh, I'd like to do that. It'd be a great idea. One day I'll do that." And a lot of my friends admire me and say to me, "I really like the way you just go and do things." You say to yourself, "You know what? I'd like to go and learn photography, so I go and learn photography. Or I'd like to learn diving, or I'd like to learn martial arts, or whatever it may be." And I go off and do it. I don't need a friend to hold my hand and come with me and do it. I just go and do it. And that's what I would say to anybody who wants to learn diving or do anything, is why wait? Just go and do it. If you want to do an online course, do it. If you want to book in to do your Open University degree, don't wait till next year. Do it now. Start now.
So you are the epiphany of a Nike advert then?
I don't. Well, yes,
Yeah,
that's what I am. Yeah,
just do it.
I just do it. Yeah.
But without the sponsorship.
Yeah, without the sponsorship. Come on, Nike.
Well, we can sort that out,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Get you
yeah.
two branded, man.
Hey, I'm wearing a Nike belt.
But it's funny, you set off in life when you're young and you kind of have an expectation of what your life's going to be and where you're going and what you want. And sometimes there's a voice in the back of your head, a very quiet one, that is actually telling you a different narrative and sending you in a different direction, but you ignore it because it's not convenient. It might be that you're in a relationship and you don't want to split up with that person, but you're being pulled another way. Or it might be that you've spent a bunch of time and money training to be something, but actually in your heart you're really not into it and there's something else. And the best thing you can do in life is really listen to that voice, because life's short.
Absolutely. When I first came to London, I worked in 5-star hotels. I used to wear the top hat and tails on the door of the Four Seasons Inn on the Park, and I was a doorman there. And I was a young guy, early 20s, mid-20s, and I made great money, and it was a really good, fun job. But I couldn't see myself staying there for the rest of my career. And I used to think to myself, there's more to this. There's something in me, I don't know what it is, but I want to do something else, and I want to do something creative, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then when the first time I walked into a studio, a photographic studio, a mate of mine was a model and he was going for a shoot, and he said, come on down. And when I walked in and I saw this shoot going on, I just knew that second there and then, this is what I wanted to do. And I just went 100% to get that, to do it. I focused on it, went for it, and which meant losing and giving up a really good job that, 90% of the hotel staff in London would give the right arm for. And I went for it. Yeah.
And a steady career as well. You gave up that steady career because it takes courage to give up a steady paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're coming to the end of the journey now.
Yep.
Oh no, the journey's only just beginning.
Okay, I like that. You two have been great guests.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to thank you. My last question to you, lovely couple, is what's the impact, the legacy that you want to leave the world?
Well, for me, it would just be, he was a good, solid bloke. He was fun. Yeah, that'd be good for me. He was a good guy. Good friend, good, reliable, solid guy. Was always there for his friends.
I like that. It's said in a true northern fashion.
Was it? Yeah.
Do you know, it's terrible. I have no desire to leave any legacy whatsoever. I just think life's short, you have to live it, and you can't comfort yourself by thinking, oh well, at least somebody will, blah blah blah. I just think you have to live life true to yourself, and then know that when you go, you did the best you could, because doing the best you could is best for everybody, not just for you.
Well, thanks a lot for that. And to the listeners out there, just thanks a lot for listening. I hope you learned a lot about that, from photography to travel tourism and obviously diving. Look out for our other podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where we interview people who've invested in Africa from around the world. Have a nice day. We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.